Convene, and we're beginning with new business number 1, which was consent number 7. Councilwoman Killingsworth, you asked for that one to be pulled, so I'll give you the floor.
I did, mainly because there are a couple things. I did not know that there was a planning board opening. Hopefully that would be addressed in future correspondence. I do not know who to compare this to, so not having the list. And when you had mentioned earlier tonight about having access to that list, I have asked for a list before and never received one. If I need to go back and pull that email somewhere, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who have expressed interest in the planning board. I don't know who all they are.
Okay.
And, you know, this, in trying to look up this person, was an interesting task. Basically, the person, the name submitted was not the correct name. So when you look up this person, it pulls up someone in Zebulon.
What do you mean? His name is Tommy. I don't know what you mean.
His name is not Tommy.
His name is Tommy. I talked to him and he said, my name is Tommy Pate.
Okay,
So-
well, if you look up Tommy Pate.
Where are you looking him up? Because his phone number and his address are all there, including everything he said.
So if you look up Tommy Pate, you look up in the Register of Deeds.
Register of Deeds.
Yes.
Okay.
Tommy Pate comes up in Zebulon.
Okay.
So it was, you know,
Richard Thomas Pate is this
Right.
person. Yeah.
Okay.
it was not his legal name that he presented. So it was difficult to find out other information on this person beyond what was submitted through the interest form.
Okay.
Okay. So it was a concern right off the bat whenever we see, you know, a name from Zebulon come up instead, because we're going, okay, does the mayor truly know that he lives in Apex, first of all? So just as a concern.
Okay. You're assuming that the person, first of all, if you're looking about Register of Deeds, you're assuming that they're a landowner, right? Okay. That would probably not be a safe assumption. Okay. I mean, I think if you're going around looking them up on other things, why? His phone number is there. You're welcome to call him. He came to the planning board Monday night. Councilman Jensen was here. Several of the planning board members came back and met him. He's here. He lives in Apex. So if you had any questions, it would have been great to have heard about that on Saturday or Sunday. Okay. So I don't understand where you tell me not to take this personally. Okay. But I'm taking it personally because this is personal. If you are insinuating that there's more to this person than what they submitted that you need to know, did you call him on the phone? Because he would have been more than happy to meet with you. He's a traffic person. That's what I felt like we could use. He expressed interest, I want to say it was over a year ago. Forget the date, but it was in 2018. So he was on my radar so that at some point, if there was an opening, he was one of my names that I was considering. So when Ms. Bedato had to leave, I looked at a few names and I reviewed some of the factors. I didn't go looking anybody up on a Register of Deeds. I talked to them on the phone. That's how you learn about people. So I'm not trying to tell you that you're doing too much, but when I make a recommendation, if you have any questions, you can ask me about him. You can ask him about him. His phone number's there. So it sounds like you're going around trying to research somebody without actually talking to somebody. And I guess my question is, in the way that the role is currently defined, if you have questions about the person that is there, I mean, keep in mind, the process before was that you got a name and maybe a little bio, and that was it. That was all. And you didn't have any other options. You didn't know who else was interested, and the council would just either, well, the council would just go with it because, frankly, they trusted the mayor. So you'll have to pardon me if I feel like this is an insinuated attack, because I know for a fact that there is at least one person who's not happy that they're not being recommended to the planning board. And I'm not saying that that person is talking to you about it, but I know that person has made known that that was their interest. And so I believe a lot of this is coming from that, because I don't believe this was an issue before. And now all of a sudden it's an issue. Why wasn't it an issue in 2016? Why wasn't it an issue in 2017? Why is it an issue in 2019? I think it's because one person who wanted to be on the board is not being recommended on the board. And the reason they're not being recommended on the board, I feel, is one that I can stand behind. And I'm not going to throw somebody under the bus here in a public meeting, but I'm happy to talk privately, offline, if anybody wants to. But I'm doing my job. And if you feel like you need to dig deeper and research people online to figure out where their property is, or what their voting record is, or what party they're affiliated with, then I feel like this is going too far. I have recommended people from all walks, and all you got to do is look at all the people I've recommended to know that. So if you want to pull this person and you want to recommend denial or delay, go right ahead. But Tommy Pate is an engineer who understands traffic, and we need traffic understanding on our planning board. Our number one complaint in Apex is traffic. And if we just pick anybody randomly because they're interested but they don't necessarily know traffic, well, that's good, but we could do better, which is why I looked at Tommy and said he would be a good fit.
Can I ask a question related to
Sure.
that? So, since I don't know the profiles of everyone, that's on a planning board, so are you saying that Ms. Padados brought that, and so it's missing, or that it's kind of missing from the board right now, that you're sort of building out this expertise of people who may, are more like a citizen who's interested, and then someone who has expertise, that kind of thing?
I'm not saying anything.
That's what's missing?
I'm not saying anything about Miss Badado. I mean, when I recommended her, first of all, I think that was my first planning board recommendation in 2016. First new person. She expressed to me in person that she wanted to help Apex, and she was willing to read and learn whatever she needed to do so. And she was even starting to go back to school, so she was in that mode. If anybody's ever gone back to school as an adult, you know what it means to say, I'm in that mode of learning right now. So I had every confidence that she, at the time, would pick up the UDO, would learn from our planning director and the people around her on the planning board, and come up to speed real quickly. I'm not trying to replace the skill set that left. I'm not trying to replace anything that left, other than there's an empty seat opportunity. I felt like we needed to fill it. When I was here, there were, I want to say, 5 members out of 8. And I understand, you don't always get all 8 people at each meeting. But if you get 5, then you have more than 50%. But I didn't want a seat to sit empty. And so that's why I began in earnest my research from the people who had submitted. And I felt like the news that we had in late 17, I think it was that our number one complaint in Apex was addressing traffic. And that was my sole intent in addressing it. He's not in construction. He's not a developer. He just knows traffic. He's been around traffic impact analysis around. That's one of the hardest things to get used to. When I got on the planning board, it took me a while to understand a TIA. So I thought somebody who understands a TIA would be a perfect addition to the planning board. I also said to him, if the project is good, I want you to support it. If the project is bad, I want you to turn it down. And I said, and if the project is almost there, then offer some creative suggestions to help it get there. Be that kind of person. And that's what I've said to every single person that I've recommended before I recommend them. And that's after they've already said, yes, I'm interested. Yes, I'd like to serve. What do I need to do? And I've told them that, and I said, can you do that? And they all, if they don't say yes, then I don't want them on the planning board because I think they're not good for Apex. I don't want people who always say yes or always say no. I want people who are willing to look at what's presented to them and treat it fairly and look at the data that's in front of them and say, that's a bad project, that's bad for Apex. I'll say no. Or that you're almost there. You're almost there. And make some recommendations. The Mr. James was a good example. We had last night. We had about half of that planning board were people who are new that I recommended, that this council approved, that weren't part of the 2014 and 2015 rezoning bonanza that happened when, you know, dozens of new properties got rezoned for residential. They were people who came up to speed pretty quickly and recently. They looked at that and they voted unanimously to support that project. And they did their job. And I sat back here and watched. Councilman Jensen was here and he watched as well. And I felt like they gave it a fair hearing, and I don't know what else to say. I feel like things are going in the right direction, and I don't really know why we keep poking at it.
This type of conversation is exactly what I wanted to have.
Okay.
That's what I was asking for
Okay.
the entire time.
Okay. But
you know,
what you can call me. We can talk about this stuff. I don't know why we have to do it here, but whatever, you know, we can.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't here in 2016 on the board. You
Okay.
know, wasn't even campaigning at that point in time. Was campaigning through 2017
Mhm.
and wasn't on the board until late 2017. So, you know, just saying
Okay.
regarding your comment earlier. You know, this type of transparency and openness, talking about the board members, is all I wanted.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah, and I do think trying to call everyone is sort of is a hard thing to do. So it's easy to Google people and try to find things to,
Well-
so, you know, because this is a very small thing. This is not a lot of information on here. But just, yeah, so that's.
Did anybody
yeah.
call Mr. Pate?
I just said that calling.
Nobody
is-
did?
I said calling is. I did text you, but calling people. I have talked to people before that you recommended.
okay.
But calling people now with my schedule is challenging. So that's why I texted you.
Okay.
Did you have any other candidates under consideration for this position, I guess?
Yeah, from there were some from previous that were maybe my second or third choices from the past. Yeah.
See, and that's where I was thinking, if you just sent that short list out and we could get you could get comments back.
Sure.
Still make your own decision, and in all likelihood, in the little email you send out, this is one that I'm looking at the most, or something. I know it's
I don't
another
mind-
burden.
I don't mind
I know
doing
it's another
that.
burden.
I don't mind doing that. I just want to. I just need to know if the council wants mayor only has 3 things to do. You go look at the ordinance. There's only 3 things: run the meetings, appoint people to committees, and sign documents. That's it.
I'm not saying that the council should have any authority. Obviously, they don't. But I guess just suggestions.
That's fine. I'm happy to do that.
If it's-
If there is a perceived lack of transparency problem,
I have none.
Then-
I do not perceive
Okay.
a lack of transparency, frankly.
because this could have all been addressed by somebody prior to this, saying we'd like to see a list of people you're considering, or we'd like to see who all, right? It's all, I don't know, I can't speak to the request you made. I don't think it was made to me. If it was, it's probably sitting unread in my inbox. If it was sent to the town clerk, I can't speak to that, or to the town manager. I really don't know. But the information is there. Whenever I've asked the town manager, she sent me a spreadsheet. It hasn't been much lately because I've been receiving them in real time. But that was at my request. I simply asked, can I be CC'd when the form gets submitted? And the answer was sure. And so I see everyone that comes in and I collect them. So I haven't had to ask for the spreadsheet, but I know it's I think all the town clerk has to do, or with Stacy's help, is to log into the tool, probably do an Excel export out of the database, or something similar, because it comes kind of, if you've ever done an Excel dump out of a database, you get what you get, right? Column A, C, you get a bunch of columns, and they're all this big.
Excuse me.
But, it's never been my intention to hide the ball. I just want to do my job. And if my job is to make appointments, then that's what I'm doing. If the council wants to see a earlier list or, a short list of 3, I don't mind doing that. I've already written that down, so that's going to be part of my process going forward.
That's good.
May I make a motion that we approve number 7? Consent agenda 7.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve consent number 7, the appointment of Tommy Pate. Any questions, comments? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. And we now need a motion to go into closed session to discuss 2 items, Algrove versus the Town of Apex and Upright Builders versus the Town of Apex.
Motion to go into
Second.
closed session.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, we're now going into closed session, and let the public be advised, we have no further items after closed session.